I would like to call the meeting in order. To order at 7 o'clock. Hello, everyone. Hi there. Great. Wonderful. And everyone's on mute. Great. Okay, we would like to salute the flag now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great.
Okay. Chair Barbe is absent. Commissioner Doan?
Here.
Commissioner Paul?
Yes, here.
Vice Chair Rainey?
Here.
Commissioner Ramirez?
Here.
Commissioner Serrato?
Here.
Commissioner Weiler?
Here.
Great. The first thing on the agenda is the minutes for December 14, 2021.
I move to approve the minutes of December 14th, 2021.
Okay.
I'd like to second that.
Great. So we have a motion. So let's take a vote.
Commissioner Doan?
Yes.
Commissioner Paul?
Yes, approve.
Vice Chair Rainey?
I'm going to pass since I wasn't present.
Commissioner Ramirez?
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato?
Approve.
Commissioner Weiler?
Yes.
Okay, the vote is 5-0 to approve with one absent and one abstained.
Great. And the second thing we have on the agenda is, do we have any written communications?
No, we do not.
Actually, if I may, I'm sorry, Chair Rainey. Vice Chair Rainey, I'm Adam Feinstein, Interim Director of Community Development. There is a piece of written correspondence that's specifically related to item G1. It's been placed on the dais and emailed to the commissioners who are not here in attendance, so you should have received that earlier in the day. Again, that's specifically related to item G1, and it's been provided for your attention.
Thank you. Great. For G, public hearings.
So the first item on that there is ADM 18-0225, that's via Portofino, and Darren Parker, Associate Planner, will be making a presentation virtually.
Good evening. I hope everyone can hear me and see the screen. I can't see you guys now,
Yep.
unfortunately. Was that a yes?
Stand by one moment.
This is Chris Post. I can see it and hear you.
Now you're good.
I'm good. Was that a yes, Adam?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, that's
Okay.
the wrong presentation. Stand by. I believe, there we are.
Are we
Okay.
good to go?
Yep.
Okay. As a good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. My name's Darren Parker. I'm an Associate Planner here with the City of Escondido Community Development Department. I'm here to present a major plot plan and development agreement for a 15-unit apartment complex on South Escondido Boulevard. The subject site that is being presented this evening is located on the east side of South Escondido Boulevard, west of Cranston Drive, south of Citricata Parkway, and just east of Center City Parkway. The project is located in the South Center City specific plan and within the Southern Entry District and mixed-use overlay of that plan. The project site is currently vacant and approximately 0.52 acres in size and relatively flat. The project site is surrounded by a commercial retail site to the north, a city-owned parcel that houses a sewer pump station to the south, and single-family residential to the east. And the pictures there show the project site. One of the pictures on the bottom right shows it looking south along Cranston Drive. The project consists of two-story multifamily residential buildings consisting of 15 apartment units. The project includes 7 one-bedroom units and 8 two-bedroom units. The project will provide 29 parking spaces on site, which will include carports and uncovered spaces, along with guest parking and bicycle parking provided on site. 1 covered parking space for each residential unit shall be provided as well. A trash enclosure will also be provided on site for the residents. The project will have access from both Escondido Boulevard and Cranston Drive. The site will also include an underground stormwater system located towards the southern part of the site, shown in blue in the site plan on the left side. The design of the 2 multifamily buildings include 1 and 2 bedroom units ranging in size from approximately 597 square feet to 856 square feet. The architectural style is a modern style with varying wall planes and roof lines, tile roofs, white and prairie grass tone exteriors and trim colors, stone veneer along the base of the units, window awnings above the windows, and arch entryways with tile accents. The overall height of the multifamily buildings, both buildings, are 26 feet in height. Each unit will also be equipped with its own washer and dryer facilities inside. The project will provide landscaping along the perimeter and interior of the site, and it will be in accordance with the city landscape ordinance and the specific plan. The specific plan requires multifamily projects to provide a minimum of 300 square feet of open space per unit, which equates for this project 4,500 square feet of open space required. The project will include a combination of private and common open space areas totaling 3,479 square feet of open space, which is slightly more than 1,000 square feet less than what's required. The open space areas will include outdoor seating, new landscaping, new trellis structures. The project will also include private floor patios for select units and private balconies on the upper units. To accommodate for the project's site design and density, the applicant is requesting a reduction in the open space requirement. The specific plan allows for reduction in the required open space subject to approval of a development agreement and city council approval. In order to satisfy the open space reduction requirement for the project, the applicant would be required to pay an in lieu fee of approximately $12.50 per square foot of open space efficiency. This amount will contribute towards the cost of installing and improving or expanding parkland or facilities in the South Center City area. Staff is recommending to the council approval of the major plot plan and development agreement. Staff is also recommending city council approval of environmental determination for the project. And that concludes staff's presentation. Staff's here for any questions, and I believe the applicant is also here as well.
Thank you so much. I'd like to open it up for the commissioners to discuss.
So at this point, if the commission has any questions for staff, that would be an appropriate time to ask that. Following that, you would be asking for any public comment, and then you can at that point discuss amongst the commissioners.
Thank you. So any questions? I have one. Okay. I'm a little taken aback by the fiscal analysis, and if I understand that correctly, they do not want to pay the fees, right? The public fees that they're kind of costing us in the city, and they want to kind of be grandfathered in because they started it before they passed that new requirement. So if someone could speak on that, I'd be grateful.
That is the applicant's request. As this is Darren, as in the planner on the project, that is the applicant's request at this time. However, it's not part of this project completely because it requires city council approval. But they are requesting to be, kind of grandfathered in, for this project because it was submitted prior to the CDF or the CFD.
So again, Vice Chair Rainey, it's Adam Feinstone here, Interim Director of Community Development. I can provide a little more detail on that. The applicant has made a request to the city through staff to have the requirement for a funding mechanism or CFD or voluntary entrance into CFD. They've requested that be waived based on the timing of their application. That is not something that is in the purview of the Planning Commission. It's something that the City Council can consider. Planning Commission was provided with information on that as basically an informational piece only, but it's not an item that the Planning Commission has purview over. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend approval to Council, including the conditions that relate to the funding mechanism or CFD.
The public arts part?
No, that's a separate issue. That's part of the development agreement. The development agreement is specific to the request to reduce the amount of open space on the site. Okay. The other fees that we've been discussing that I was mentioning are with regard to payment for ongoing public services.
Right. Okay, great.
If I can intervene, Vice Chair Rainey as well.
Oh, hi.
Thank you. The public services funding requirement is actually a term of the development agreement. And so staff is recommending that Planning Commission recommend approval to the City Council of the development agreement. The development agreement term includes the funding of public services. And that's staff's recommendation. But ultimately, as Interim Director Feinstone stated and Darren stated, the City Council will ultimately decide whether to retain that term in the development agreement or allow for the requested exemption that the applicant has requested.
Thank you so much, and I want to also say that indemnification clause was beautiful. As an attorney, I couldn't help myself. I read it. I was impressed.
Well, thank you very much.
Good job. Okay.
But if I could I just want to make sure I'm 100% clear. So this is not in the purview, to remove that particular condition is not in the purview of the Planning Commission. Therefore, we can't even recommend to the City Council that be removed?
No, and I'll answer that. The Planning Commission is authorized and actually has to, by law, review that development agreement. And one of the terms of the development agreement is inclusion of that public services funding requirement. So Commissioner Weiler, if you want to provide comments on that term, you are certainly authorized to provide comments on that term. So just to be clear, we're not putting up the hand to the Planning Commissioner saying, don't even talk about that issue, because it is a term of the development agreement. What I'm saying is staff is recommending retaining that term in the development agreement.
Retaining as in keeping the requirement for them to pay the $12,000?
Pay the public services
Of like $12,000?
funding, right?
Okay.
And we're talking about the CFD.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a CFD or other alternative funding mechanism. It's not just a CFD.
Got it. Okay. I just wanted to be clear on that. All right, thank you.
And Chair Rainey, if I could just clarify, The $12,000 that you're referring to, that's a separate, separate issue or separate item than the funding mechanism or CFD that we've been discussing. The $12,000 is a one-time payment as a substitute for providing the full amount of on-site open space. The annual payments are based on the public services that the project will demand over the years.
Thank you.
So I just had one question of staff. Is what were the public notice requirements? 'Cause I didn't see any signage on this project on site.
So it went out in the paper that there should have been signs on site as well. We also notified, I believe, in the paper, and then we notified everyone within 500 feet radius as well.
What's the significance that there was no signage on site then?
I'm not sure what happened to it.
Senior Deputy Attorney, City Attorney Whitman, do you have any insight that you might be able to provide if in fact that sign was not posted on site?
Well, we need to follow whatever the notice requirements are. This is the first time I'm hearing that maybe a sign wasn't posted on site. I'd have to look at the specific requirements and if in fact that's a requirement that a sign needs to be posted, well, I mean, it should have been done. I would need to know more about the facts to make any determination of whether we're at risk in this situation or something like that.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions.
Yes, please.
My first question is that I'm curious, is this development has any percentage for low income and also affordable housing available?
That there is no requirement for affordable housing with this project. I'm not sure what the applicant is proposing as in price-wise for the rents.
Okay. The other question I have, it might be an early question to ask, but I'm wondering, is it either inside or outside recycled water service area of City of Escondido?
This site's it's in the Escondido Water District.
Okay. So which means that you need to provide an application for the recycled water system, correct?
I would have to refer to engineering, but I believe that answer is yes.
Yes. Then in your presentation, I did not hear any information regarding that, the recycled water for that site. So I was curious, because if we're going to vote on anything tonight to approve the plan or however, that information is not presented to the Planning Commission to review or even to have a knowledge of what you're planning to do with the recycled water system. The reason why I ask is because you have an open space for landscaping, and that definitely require a recycled water system in place. But at least we need to hear about it.
I'm not sure who from engineering is on board here, but if they can answer that question.
Yeah, I'd have to check. I think typically the landscape is conditioned to be designed for recycled water, but a lot of times recycled water is not available at that time. And I don't know right off if recycled water mains are directly available to this site.
So I'm not sure I understand. Either you are planning to have the recycled water system in place or you don't. And who would be the water source for the recycled water program? Is that the City of Escondido?
Yeah, being in the city's water district, if recycled water is available, it would be our recycled water. It's just not, recycled water is not in every location, and I'm not sure if it is available here.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I couldn't find it maybe because the plan was small when I was looking on the computer, but I couldn't see anything. And I was hoping that that was kind of mentioned in your presentation today, but I didn't hear anything. So there is a concern right there because recycled water is a requirement. It's not something that you can pick or choose not to do it.
Any of the other commissioners have any questions for the staff? Then I would like to open it up for public hearing.
And our minutes clerk will call names. I don't know if you've got more than one, or,
Just one, Mr. Randy Jones.
there we go.
Yes, my name's Randy Jones. Commissioners, I live at 2638 Cranston Drive. I have the last 26 years. Actually, it's right behind the restaurant there, Bud's or whatever it might be now. And watch the development after 26 years, and I just wonder if does the commission consider what parking means? You know, in my neighborhood, I mean, I got a couple of acres there, but I'm on the other side of the fence. And what you're doing is you keep developing this, and there's never adequate parking. I don't care what you say, and you know it and I know it. There's not adequate parking in some of these facilities you're putting together when they have 2 or 3 cars. You know, they park down my street, and, you know, it's fun. I won't complain about that. You know, but now all of a sudden, we have another development, Cranston and Verda Drive, where you're going to put some units in there, you know, right by your, you know, I don't know, facility that's right there. I don't know if it's septic or what it is, you know. But I mean, you have that facility, but now you're going to open ingress and egress onto Cranston Drive again, and invite more people to park on that road. And if you're not careful, and I know many of you haven't been down that road, so you have no idea. I live there, you know, every day, and watch what's going on. And we're going to continue to do this where you won't be able to get up and down Cranston Drive with so many cars on the street. And it's just getting out of control. And I understand the development. I got no problem with that. You've got 2 developments right there on Escondido Boulevard that are already in operation right now. One used to be the little Christmas place, and they're tearing that apart, you know, build units. The one up the street where the metals, you know, the steel building was, and they're redeveloping that. And now you're announcing you're going to do that one little lot right next to the restaurant. You know, you got plenty of room up in Escondido Boulevard, and I honestly don't understand why you want to put more traffic and more parking on Cranston Drive. I don't understand. I live there day in and day out and see it. And all the people that park there illegally, which is fine. It's going to happen. It happens all over the city. I understand that. Put up with that. We put up with the homeless living there, you know, and breaking into our mailboxes and everything else. And we're just creating more congestion, more havoc. Now, I know that it might, I guess it's commercial on the other side of the street, and I'm the residential side on the other side. But after 26 years to see what's going on, I'm just not sure where any common sense is being weighed on this. I mean, I hope you get your $12,000 or whatever the hell it is for landscaping. Good for you. I don't know what good that's going to do us that live there. I really don't. All you're going to do is create more havoc, more traffic, and everything else. And if you're going to do that, then I request put a signal there. Why don't you put a stoplight right there? If you're going to open it wide open. I just don't understand what you're doing. I'm not sure that if you guys actually consider, where these people are going to park, what are they going to do? I'm not sure. I get worried. And I know after 26 years, I've seen what's developed, and I'm concerned. I really am. Now, the nice thing is we have no parking on my side of the street, which that's just wonderful. Because number one, if we didn't do that, you wouldn't be able to get down that road. But I just don't understand what's going on when you just allow everybody, you're going to open it up, and there's maybe only 8 or 10 units. That's only another 20 cars that won't fit in there. And they're going to park on Cranston and Virda. And it's just going to be havoc. It's a real mess. And if you haven't been down there, then you don't know what I'm countless of times, you don't know how many times I have to go out there and clean up the street because of the trash and everything across from my house. I have 2 options. I either go clean it up myself or I look at it. I'm not good at that, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the way I want to live. And it's from these people that park there all the time, and there's no monitoring of that parking. We're kind of by ourselves down there. But you continue to develop all these places, and where do you want them to park?
If I may intervene, the Senior Deputy City Attorney Kerr Whitman, two items. One, thank you for your comments. We have a procedural rule of 3 minutes, but I'll yield to Vice Chair Rainey how she would like to proceed on that. The other comment is we are seeing virtually here someone's iPhone. So we're seeing some texts, and those are public. So whoever applicant or someone who is logged in, please turn off your screen. Right now you're sharing your screen. I don't know who you are. I see a picture of a woman and her son right now. Nice picture, but not appropriate for this meeting. So please turn off your camera. And I'll yield to Vice Chair Rainey how she'd like to continue with that speaker or be done with it.
Thank you, sir. We hear you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on? No? Okay.
The applicant would like to speak.
Oh, please.
This is Chris Post with ATC Design Group, 1277 Pacific Oaks Place in Escondido. We're the architects and engineers for the developer. And we appreciate you here in our project this evening. Appreciate the time that you've taken away from your families to be here. I'm available to answer design-related questions as they relate to the project, but I did want to respond to the comment about reclaimed water. And I'm looking at the conditions and I'm looking at the landscape requirements in the city ordinance. And I don't see in our conditions, which talk pretty extensively about the landscape, I don't see any requirement for a reclaimed water system, number one. So I'm not sure whether that was supposed to be in there and wasn't, but these are the conditions that have been presented to the developer for review and approval for tonight's meeting. And I don't know if somebody from staff, engineering staff, is available this evening to speak to that. The project is a very high quality project. It meets all of the requirements set out in the specific plan for this area. And I appreciate Mr. Jones's comments, but the property is zoned for the use, and we meet the requirements as set out in that specific plan. And we've been processing this for a long time, and we have now finally gotten to this point. So we appreciate your patience as we talk through some of these items, but we are staff is recommending approval, and we are hoping to get there by the end of the discussion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak, or shall I open it up for the commissioners for us to speak about it? Okay, I will open it up for us. Yes, please.
Yeah, Mr. Parker, if you could address the parking issues that the local resident expressed concerns about as far as parking, and then also we may want to hear from the engineering department about the improvements along Cranston to widen that road, if that is actually in fact a part of this project.
Yes. So the parking requirement, they are meeting the specific plan, which is a requirement of 29 parking spaces, and that includes guest parking as well on site. And they also have a requirement that each unit have one covered space as well, which they are providing. So they're providing the minimum parking required, for the project.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. And then, and I'm sorry, and it's sometimes kind of hard to hear in here. What are the improvements that are occurring on Cranston? Are there just standard frontage improvements and widening of the road?
There are standard improvements in the front with a new access that'll meet, design standards for engineering. So the new access will be provided off of Cranston. They also have to. There is an existing storm drain there too that they have to, I believe, improve, and that's been conditioned. And I believe that Owen can probably speak more about the improvements off of Cranston.
Yeah, I believe the improvements are there, so there's no additional widening. They're basically putting a driveway into Cranston.
Thank you. That answered my question.
Commissioners, anyone else have any questions? Oh, yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, I just had a couple comments. One is this, the fee to waive open space is $12.50 a square foot. And I'm not sure where that figure comes from, and I don't know when's the last time we looked at that. But if you'll recall, we did a feasibility study last year about multifamily development and the costs, and the average cost was $40 a square foot just for raw land. So at $12.50, we're not even compensating for raw land with no improvements for open space. And I'm really concerned that the city hasn't allocated any public open space in that area at all. This half an acre is one of the few bare undeveloped pieces left in that area in order to put some open space. And I'm just concerned about all these projects that we've put in, that we've reduced the requirement for open space, and I don't see that the city has made a provision for what we're going to do. I mean, especially for the kids. There's no playgrounds in most of these. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are very few playgrounds in the area for youngsters to play in that part of town, and I just don't think the $12.50. We can't do anything with $12,500. I mean, that's my point. Another comment I would like to make is about the city's property that's just to the south. The city has a sewer lift station there, and it really looks terrible. This applicant is going to have to put in a trash enclosure that's going to look nicer than the city's sewer lift that's going to be next door. And I think the city has an obligation to that part of town to spruce that up a little bit. Especially, we talked about the storm drain improvement over there. That's where the kids are going to play. They're going to play in that storm drain next to the lift station. And I believe those are my only comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Wheeler.
But I guess if we're having commission discussion at this point, my comments are, this project looks like it, based on the staff report, that it was proposed, reviewed, and we're looking at something that's right inside the box of what is permitted and has been acceptable down in this part of the city as far as meeting the specific plan. So the specific plan lays all of that out. And that's been around for quite some time. So this developer has gone through this process for many years, so in order to make sure that he's in compliance with that specific plan. So I'm going to have a hard time voting against something that's right inside the box. Now certainly not meeting the 300 square feet of open space per unit. Certainly I would like to see that actual open space provided. However, there is a mechanism, and we've supported that mechanism many times to pay an in lieu fee. And that is afforded to all developers that are coming forth. So I support that. What I would like to see is that money that is collected, not just sit off to the side for years and years and years and doesn't get utilized. I would like to see that utilized, as soon as possible to do something in that area, whether it's acquire land or beautify city parcels that are in that area. That's what I'd like to see, but I don't think that we should condition it as such, because it's already laid out in the conditions of approval or in the development agreement that the funds are supposed to be used somewhere down in this area. So I do support that. I'd just like to see it happen sooner rather than later. As far as the CFD, there's not many projects left that are in the pipeline that have gotten this requirement waived in the past as a fairness issue. So for me, I would support this project not having to participate in the CFD, and it's purely because they were in the pipeline. A lot of these pipeline projects had that CFD condition waived, and so I support that, but it's purely because they were in the pipeline. Anybody else that's come in through the review process, I agree with the CFD. I think that's something that is good for the city and should be paid, except for those cases where they have been in the pipeline. So those are my comments.
Thank you, and I'm going to make a comment that I definitely don't believe in being grandfathered in with the CFD. I don't think we should have to pay it, and I think it's unfortunate we even paid it before. So that is where I stand with that. I do not want them to have an exception whatsoever. They need to pay it, or we're paying it. That's my comment. Any other comments from the commissioners?
Yeah, I have a comment. I also agree with Commissioner Paul's concerns about the reduction in open space and this being one of those last places in the area, for that space. But it's challenging because I do understand the difficulties of planning in this area. So I'm really on the fence with this one. Mm-hmm. But I absolutely agree with you, Vice Chair Rainey, that if we do approve this, that I wouldn't want to recommend a grandfathering in for those fees.
Thank you so much. Any of the other commissioners? Okay. Oh, yes, Commissioner Dow.
Thank you. I also agree with Vice Chair regarding the not grandfather in, because that's something that we should not done and should have been done it before. The other thing that my reservation of this site is that, and I'm going to restate it again, that is, I have not seen a proper information regarding the recycled water, and I believe the developer mentioned that they're not supposed to, or they were told that recycled water system is not needed for this site. That's something I'm not sure I understand, because the recycled water system is it's a requirement for California. And so I don't know any new development, especially with new apartments or new homes, or any new development for homes that require recycled water system planning. So I'm not sure I understand that process at all. Maybe city staff can provide explanation why they're exempt from having the recycled water system at this development. That's where I have a concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can speak exactly to this project, but I think my understanding is that the landscape systems need to be designed for future use of recycled water. It's just that we don't either have mains available in every place. I think there is a main here along this frontage, but I believe it's a transmission-sized main, and they couldn't really set a meter off of that. And then the other thing is there's been times where the amount of recycled water the city is producing, it hasn't been available at all times. So I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think part of that is, that's part of why we have not been able to condition each and every project to connect us to recycled water.
Okay, would any other questions for the commissioners or any comments? If not, oh yes, please.
I'm so sorry. Just one comment that I know that any new development for housing require to follow the Title 22 Division 4, Chapter 3 for the Water Code 13050. So that's all I can tell you. Other than that, if the city provide you with an exemption or waiver, then we just need to hear a reason why. Thank you.
Commissioner Doan, this is Adam Feinstone again, Interim Director. I don't have an answer for you immediately at this point. We'll have to look at that code section. That's something that I'm not particularly familiar with specifically. So at this time, I cannot provide a response on that. But the project is conditioned to comply with our landscape ordinance, which is tied then to the state's model water efficient landscape ordinance, WELO, as it's pronounced or as it's stated. So that is a requirement for the project. If that recycled, it sounds like you're speaking of an on-site recycled water system. If that is required per the state ordinance, then yes, that is something that would be required of our code as well. But I'm not 100% familiar with that myself.
Okay, any other questions before I have someone make some motion on ADM 18-0225 via Portofino? Oh. Would someone like to make a motion? I can make a motion to accept the development only if they pay the CFD. Anyone else want to make another motion?
Can I just intervene?
Yes.
And I just want to clarify, and I find myself clarifying this a lot. We talk about it as in the context of CFD, and we throw that acronym around CFD, but CFD is just one mechanism for funding the public services. It can be voluntary annexation of the CFD, which from the staff and city's perspective, that's a convenient way for developers to fund that. But if they do not want to do a CFD, they can pay those public services funds through some other lawful mechanism. And that can be discussed with the developer. The developer can propose something, but it would have to be in compliance with the law, whatever it is. But I just want to clarify that. I think that's what you meant,
Yes.
Chair Rainey, not just, because I just don't want to, I want to make sure we're not saying you must do a CFD. What you're saying is you're recommending that Planning Commission approve staff's recommendation, which is to include that public services requirement, which is a term of the development agreement.
Yes. Thank you.
Would you entertain an alternate motion?
Yes, absolutely.
So I would move, we approve Planning Commission Resolution Number 2022-01.
I'll second the motion. I would like to make sure it's noted in the minutes that are received by the city council that, I'll second the motion, but I want to make sure that it's noted in the minutes that my comments get added to the minutes, that I think that the CFD should be granted,
The grandfather.
the exemption, you granted the grandfather. Yes, thank you. I just want that to be noted, but I do think it's a good project, and I will second the motion.
Okay, Commissioner Doan?
I like to see if the developer can provide a little bit more information on the recycled water system. Either they planning to do it or they don't plan to do it, or is that require, is not require? Because right now I don't have a definite answer from the developer. So that my only reservation.
So Commissioner Doan, if I may, at this point, the request or the motion has been made and seconded, and the intent at this point is to receive votes, yay, nay, or abstain at this point.
Yes.
Commissioner Paul?
Yes, approve.
Vice Chair Rainey?
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez?
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato?
Approve.
Commissioner Weiler?
Yes.
Okay, the vote is 6-0 to approve with one absent.
Thank you, folks. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to current business.
So the item here for current business, it's planning case PL 210468. It's a extension of time for a subdivision on Citrus Avenue. And Jay Paul, our senior planner, will make a presentation.
Yes, good evening, commissioners. It's good to be back here. I haven't been here in front of the commissioners for a while. Tonight's item is a current business item. It involves a requested extension of time for a previously approved 8-lot tentative subdivision map. I think it predates several of the commissioners here. It was approved back in 2017 by the Planning Commission for 8 single-family residential lots. And briefly going through the site, this is approximately 2.87 acres. It contains a existing single-family residential unit on the house, on the lot, which will actually be retained and incorporated into the subdivision. It takes access off, or the property takes access off of Citrus Avenue, and a new cul-de-sac will provide access to the site. It's in the general plan's designation of suburban and zones for single-family residential development. You can see around it, it has a variety of residential type development and densities and lot sizes. The project briefly is 8 single-family residential lots provided off a cul-de-sac. The existing single-family residence will be retained on Lot 1. The project originally approved by the Planning Commission in 2017, and generally tentative maps have about actually a 3-year shelf life. This was scheduled to expire 3 years afterwards. However, the state granted an automatic 18-month extension to all residential development projects, which this project qualified, so it extended out an additional 18 months. This project is now anticipated or scheduled to expire of April of this year. The Escondido Municipal Code and subdivision ordinance allows the original approving body to grant additional extensions up to 5 years beyond the original expiration date, which would have been 2021. So this project is, with the state extension, is eligible for about a 3.5-year extension, which they are requesting. Developer has indicated they have a partner come on, development partner recently come on to actually move this project forward to grading plans, improvement plans, and final map. They need the additional time to realize that for the project. What staff looks for in recommending approval of an extension of time is compliance with generally 3 items. The general plan, is the project consistent with the general plan, which it is. Density, yield are still consistent. The general plan has not changed in policies for development of the area. Is the development consistent with zoning requirements, and it still would meet all the development requirements for the R110 zone, and conformance with CEQA. A notice of exemption was adopted for the project, and nothing has changed environmentally to change that determination. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the requested 3.5-year extension of time. However, we have revised the conditions to follow our new format. All the original conditions remain valid and were incorporated into that, except for one item. As they were getting more involved into the more detailed engineering of the project, they found out that the sewer line was not deep enough in Meadowlark Lane, and let me go backwards quickly, here to the east to bore under this concrete channel to serve the project. Therefore, they've elected to connect to the existing sewer line in Citrus Avenue, which has been vetted by our utilities department, and there is sufficient separation and fall to make that happen. So we revised one of the engineering conditions to reflect the newer sewer condition. With that, staff is recommending of the project, or the extension of time with the conditions as revised. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Does the commissioners have any questions for the staff?
I do. I have one question.
Yes, please.
Did I hear correctly that this plan was approved back in 2017 and now they are asking for another 3 years extension?
Correct.
I didn't hear it correctly.
That is correct.
And the reason for requesting for an extension is?
I believe the request for the extension is, and there's a lot of factors involved. It could be getting a partner to team up with the original development team, financing, other factors involved with that. With that, the applicant is requested to extend it as they've got a new team, I believe, involved to move this forward. So that is requested to allow that additional time to realize this project.
Thank you.
Just one more question, I apologize.
Of course, please.
So what is the time limit to approve extension, or you can continue approve extension after 3 years and then they submit another request for an extension and then we review and then we approve again, or what is the process?
The
Is that a
process,
continuing?
oh, sorry. The municipal code, which includes the subdivision ordinance, would allow the city to approve extensions up to 5 years. So you could do them in 1-year increments, multiple increments, up to 5 years beyond the original expiration date. So the original expiration date was 3 years beyond October of 2017. However, the state intervened in between that time because of the economy and COVID, and granted an automatic 18-month extension to all residential projects. The city previously to that, during 2020, had granted an automatic extension to all development projects that would last an additional year. However, this superseded the council's extension to 18 months. So they have about, for the additional 18 months that was granted, they could ask for about another 3.5 years remaining for past this April to do all the things necessary to final this map.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'll just intervene just to concur with what Jay Paul has stated. And I worked with Jay specifically on these deadlines and dates and what they are authorized to extend this to. So I concur with Jay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Paul?
I just have one question. If they're not connecting the sewer to Meadowlark, what's going on the corner of Lot 6 then, up in that corner of your diagram?
In the corner of Lot 6, that is part of their stormwater plan because of the way the topography and the project drains. They will be draining to that. That's what their biofiltration stormwater system, because the project actually drains mainly backwards into that concrete drainage ditch behind them. So that they have to take sewer in one direction, but the drainage goes the other direction.
Any other commissioners? No? I would like to open it up to the public.
May I have
Oh,
one
yes,
more,
of
one
course.
quick question, Vice Chair? I apologize. It just triggered a question from the answer that provided to Commissioner Paul. So if the project is not connected to a public sewer, does it mean that the project required to have a septic treatment system because it's not connected to the public sewer?
I'll give you a layman's answer, and then if it gets more detailed, I'll refer to Owen. But in the city, sewer is available. So based on the size of this project, I believe the county in certain areas has a 2-acre minimum to provide septic systems and reserve areas and leach fields. They go smaller if you have a properly engineered and designed systems beyond that. But sewer is available here, and so they are required to connect to that.
Okay, because I thought I've heard that it's not connected to the public sewer system. So if it is, then understood.
Yes, it will be connected to city sewer.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's all for me.
Okay, I would like to open it to the public. Comment?
There are no public
Okay.
comments.
And then applicant, please. I would like to open it to the applicant. You're on mute. Hi. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, let me unmute. Hi, my name is Terry Matthew. I'm with CCI, Consultants Collaborative, and we processed the project, sorry, I'm on my phone, way back in 2016, 2017. And there, I think there were some delays based on, I think Jay Paul really stated it well, based on looking for a development partner, financing, and then COVID and the economy hit. And so he just was not able to move forward on the project. Now he's found a development partner and is anxious, and by the fact that we've already addressed the revision to the sewer line indicates that they are ready to move forward on to the final engineering and building permits for the site. So that's really the only, we would ask that you continue to extend their approval date out. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. I would like to open it to the commissioners for a discussion if there is one. Are we all good? Great.
I'd like to make a motion then, if we're ready for that.
We are ready.
Move to approve PL 21-0468 for the time extension on this project.
I second that motion.
I agree.
Commissioner Doan?
Approved.
Commissioner Paul?
Yes, approve.
Vice Chair Rainey?
Approved.
Commissioner Ramirez?
Approve.
Commissioner Serrato?
Approve.
Commissioner Weiler?
Yes.
The vote is 6-2-0 to approve.
Thank you very much. Good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you.
And now, is there any oral communications?
There's none.
Great. And then it's planning commissioners. That's what it says.
If any of the planning commissioners have any general comments that they wanted to provide that are not related to something necessarily in the purview per se, or something that they might want to look at a later date, we can do that.
Great. Anyone? No?
I have one comment. I know in the past we had gotten the site plans that were the larger printing, and this time around we got them in kind of just the 8.5 by 11, and they were a little bit harder to read. Could we also, and I know that's easier to mail this size and all that good stuff. Could we also, when that happens, get an electronic version in case we need to zoom in on anything specifically, and then we don't require that extra printing if we don't have to?
Definitely, we'll make sure we get that for you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramirez. Anybody else? If not, I will move on to the director's report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Rainey. First, I wanted to just say thank you for stepping in for Chair Barbet. Done an excellent job. Glad to be able to have you here to do that. I know Chair Barbet is on vacation. I think we're all a little jealous, but the only other item that I wanted to mention is our next meeting. We are likely not going to be meeting, or we will not be meeting on February 8th. We will likely have our next meeting. It'll be on the 22nd, agenda TBD. And then the other thing I wanted to do is if I can ask Commissioner Doan, if you can email me that reference you made to the water code section, that'd be great. I'd love to take a look at that.
I will do. Thank you.
Okay. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. I wish you a great night. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.